Well,
hello. Happy Monday to you folks. How are we all doing today?
Here we are again. We're a little cold.
Well, it's much colder, much warmer today than the last couple of days. Woo.
Well, happy Thanksgiving week, everyone, and welcome back to another Monday Night Live.
With RVing to Alaska.
Yes. Oh, boy. It has been a chilly one. I think yesterday we hit negative 18 degrees.
I saw 14.
No, 14.
14. I saw 14
right.
below.
Negative 14.
Yes. And what did we do yesterday that was so amazing for you?
We went on our first snow machine ride of the season. So
I mean, it was only 10 below when we left the house, so it wasn't too bad. But it was beautiful. It was sunny. The snow was pretty good. We don't have a whole bunch yet, 15 to 18 inches, maybe 2 feet in places. So not a whole bunch of snow yet, but it was so nice to get outside on the machines and play around our beautiful backyard.
Right now is really the hardest time about living in Alaska because you have to wait for freeze up before you can go and start playing in your wintertime activities. So I've really been bumming the last couple of weeks.
Not bumming. You've just been silently not liking snow, but
exactly
looking forward to what snow allows us to do.
We did just have our best friends come up and visit us for a week, so that helped.
That was nice to have them here.
It was really nice, but now we're looking forward to Thanksgiving and getting into the holiday season.
Yes.
So first of all, I just want to say thank you for joining us tonight. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you'll get notified whenever we go live. Of course, we're doing these Monday Night Lives every first and third Monday of each month, except for January.
Right.
We don't want to come to you on New Year's Day.
No, there's too many other things going on.
So we're going to delay January by 1 week. But
that's fine.
We just want to thank you for being here tonight. You know, go ahead and if you want to drop questions down in the comment section, please do. And we will try to address your questions as we move through the evening in our topics of conversation.
And if we don't get to your question during midstream, we try to go back at the end of our conversation, try to go back and review to make sure we did hit all the questions. So we try to make the best possible, or try to do our best possible to answer the questions.
Right. I see we've got some chatter going on the group page.
Wonderful.
Or on the video. We have someone actually coming to us from the UK.
Oh,
that's like an early morning.
That's
I would guess
9 hours difference here, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
So welcome.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. I see Madison, one of our senior moderators.
Oh, yeah.
He's online. Carol and Lisa. Carol's from Illinois and Lisa's from Oklahoma.
Well, welcome to you all.
Welcome.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
So I just want to go over real quick some housekeeping, and then we're going to dig right into Canada. First of all, I am super stoked to say that our Facebook group,
it's getting there.
It's getting there. We are only 51 members shy of that 8,000 mark.
That may have changed in the last hour too.
It could have. I got those stats earlier this morning. But now keep in mind, this Facebook group that we're currently working in, it's been live for now about 14 months. We are not switching to a new group every year moving forward. So really, our Facebook following in our groups is just over 30,000 people.
That would be all the groups combined from 17, 18, 19, 20, all those groups.
But the RVing to Alaska, the original group, we're just about to hit that 8,000 mark. So I just want to thank you all for being a part of that. That truly is where the daily conversation happens with RVing to Alaska, where all the members get to talk to one another, share their plans, ask us questions. That's really where the conversation happens.
It is.
I mean, we take the stage every other Monday night, but that's where the dealio is every day.
You're going to find when you're traveling up here in midsummer Alaska that you're going to go to that page every day to find out who went where and how their experience was, so you can go repeat that same experience. Or if they didn't have a good experience, you can learn from that situation and find something different.
Janet just said from the UK, it's 2 a.m. over there.
Oh, we're a little bit off on our time, I guess. Wow. Okay, so
hopefully
that's about right, though.
You're either a late person or a very early.
Yeah, but that's dedication. So thank you. That's great.
Let's see. What else do we have on housekeeping? Black Friday and Cyber Sunday.
Hey, we're going to take part of
Cyber
that.
Monday.
Black Friday deals.
Yeah. So we already have a special going on right now on our decals. So you'll want to look on the Facebook group for that code. And
are you going to reveal the deal? Reveal the deal.
Well, they got to go to the Facebook group.
There you go. Well, good idea.
Okay, I'll say
website.
It's 20% off the decals.
Go to the website.
However, I'm going to say on Cyber Monday, we're going to have another special, and it's going to be on our consulting service. So if you would like to use us to help plan one-on-one consulting, we're going to have a Cyber Monday special to help you out on that. So stay tuned. That will be posted online on next Monday.
And these can be very informative sessions to help you plan your routes, from little places to stop that you may not have thought of to places that maybe you need to rethink about stopping at, kind of things, and everything in between.
Yep. And speaking of routes, I don't know why I keep always forgetting this, but we have a route planning guide, and that is also on our on our website. I'm sorry, on our website, RVing2Alaska.com. And to get our free route planning guide, all you have to do is sign up for our bi-monthly-ish.
Well, you're really trying.
Newsletter. So we have a newsletter that goes out every other month, and you just sign up for that, and we'll send you our route planning guide for free. So only one more thing to go over. The holidays are creeping up, like literally first big holiday is Thursday.
Oh, in a couple days here.
But we are going to be doing our Christmas card exchange again this year. So I will put down in comments below our address. Actually, it is listed. Send us a Christmas card. We're going to put it up, and we will send you a Christmas card back.
Maybe we'll try to hang them in the background somewhere, or somehow fill them up in the background of our.
I tried to do that last minute, but I ran out of time before it was showtime.
Right.
So I just got to put it out there.
There you go.
And one more thing, I almost forget. December 1st, next Friday. What is it?
You just told. No, you didn't tell me.
I did tell you.
You did tell me.
Denali National Park
opening,
reservations go live on next Friday. I'm not sure which time,
it's
usually in the morning.
8 or 9 a.m. Alaska time.
Around there. It could be 7. But just so you know, Friday, December 1st, Denali National Park reservations go live.
That's an important date.
2024. So if you're wanting to stay inside the park, so this is at Riley Creek Campground, or Savage, or
Techlanica.
Reservations go on sale next Friday. So mark that on your calendars, and you'll want to either call in. Their reservation system is great if you call in, or you can book online. Okay, so
hey,
Canada.
Back to Canada. You know, we have always said, and we'll always say, that Canada sometimes is the best part about traveling to Alaska. You have to go through Canada unless you take the Marine Highway, you
ship your RV up through Tote
and then fly.
I mean, there's
other routes.
There's other ways, but if you're going to drive and commit all the way up, you're going to see Canada,
and it is worth your time. You know, don't just it's just Canada, kind of skip through. No. Spend 2 or 3 weeks in Canada and really enjoy what there is there, because some of their provincial parks are amazing. Which is equal to our state parks, and then they have the national parks as well, and they're just awesome.
I have to say, our first year driving up in 2017, I thought we were going to blast through Canada, and we quickly learned that
you got to slow your roll.
Slow the roll and enjoy Canada. Because I'll be honest, if you take your time going north, you're going to see it more, because by the time you get up to Alaska, spend your time in Alaska, you may be just itching to get home.
Right.
And so we have found that the 2 years that we went south,
at the end of our summer stay in Alaska,
we were ready to get home, and so that's when we did.
We just scooted through Canada in 5 or 6 days.
Yes.
And that's a pretty good push.
So make sure, if you want to give Canada your full undivided attention, I would do it in the beginning of your trip.
Yes.
Because anyways, you don't want to arrive into Alaska until at least June 1st.
And now let's qualify beginning of your trip, because too early can be too early. There still is snow in Canada at times, especially the further north you go.
The northern portions,
Right.
I would say the southern portions, like the Okanagan Valley and even Banff, Jasper, you're still in the mountains, so you could still encounter some snow, but the roads are usually clear.
The roads are normally fine. I'm looking about maybe campground closures because they haven't opened up for the season yet.
Well, here's a date you want to keep in mind. And I'm sorry I don't have it written down. I think I talked about it last session. But the weekend before our Memorial Day is their Victoria Day or Queen's Day.
Right.
And I don't think they're going to change that to King.
Oh,
yeah,
no, I think it's historically Queen Victoria's Day.
That's, sorry if that made noise. I talk with my hands.
Really?
So just keep in mind, that's when the Canadians really get out and start camping. So that's when everything opens for them versus in Alaska, everything typically will open starting Memorial Day.
Right.
So keep that in
mind. But hey, just take your time through Alaska or through Canada. It is a beautiful state. And I think we also have some other tips and tricks for you on how to prepare to drive into Canada.
Well, we have our cheat sheet here. And so the first thing I want to talk about to get people familiar with is their currency. It is very similar to ours. They have dollars, very similar to us. One thing different, they have loonies and toonies.
Yep, they do.
They are $1 and $2 coins. They don't have pennies. So if something comes to a cent, that
somewhere
isn't
between
of a 5 or 10 domination, they round up. Let's see, what else? You need loonies and toonies for
shopping carts and showers and laundry and such like that.
And right now, as of today, the exchange rate. So the American dollar is stronger than the Canadian dollar, and it has been that way since we've been RVing to Alaska, and it's relatively stayed about the same.
It has stayed about the same.
Right now, $1 US is worth $1.37 in Canadian currency. So that gives you basically like a 30% discount.
I would call that a 37% discount.
Or savings.
However you want to call it. Yep.
And one thing that I really recommend is you do want to grab some Canadian cash. But what I would do is wait until you're in Canada to grab it. You're going to get more for your money up there versus down here. Also, it's super easy to just grab out of an ATM, or even when you're at the checkout, say at the grocery store, and just ask for cash back. That way you'll get that day's
that day's exchange rate.
And
if you have a credit card that you're able to use internationally, those credit cards generally will use that same day's exchange rate as well. So you're maximizing the possibility of your exchange. If you get a whole bunch of cash ahead of time and then the exchange rate changes in Canada's favor, then your money may be,
or it drops
lower. You may not equal the same exchange rate as it would be on the day.
And there's a lot of credit cards. Check with your credit card companies, because some cards will have international processing fees. It can be as high as 3, maybe even 4% of your purchase. So we always make sure we know which cards charge that processing fee and which cards do not. A lot of credit cards will not have that, but that is a hidden expense that you'll want to make sure you're aware of.
Yep. So do a little bit of research on your credit cards before you cross the border.
Another thing you might want to do is always notify your credit card carrier that you're going to be traveling, especially out of country, and set a PIN. I know it hasn't been as prominent lately. I don't think we've had to put in our PIN. In 2017, we had to put in a PIN a couple times.
We did, yeah.
But if you can set a PIN to your card number, that may help you, especially at maybe some remote card locks. Again, I don't think it's as prevalent anymore.
We haven't gone through Canada for a little. Well, I guess a couple years ago.
Yeah, we haven't been through since 21, and I don't think in 21 we needed a PIN number.
No, I don't recall
to be aware of. You want to talk about the metric system? Because you do that better than me.
I do the metric system better. Okay, so we're talking about miles and kilometers and gallons and liters with this. And it's, it says it's 1.6 kilometers per mile. So when you drive a mile, you've actually gone 1.6 kilometers. I like to just round down. I'll round down a little bit to the 1.5 kilometer just to do the math easy. So if you're traveling 100 miles, you're going to have gone 150 kilometers. Just that's quick, easy math. It's an approximate. It's not exact, but it'll get you there. If you want to get the calculator out and do the 1.6, you're perfectly welcome to do that. But I always cheat and find an easy way to do 1.5.
Now, going off memory, usually when you're coming up on an exit or a point of interest or a town,
right?
It usually says, is it 2 or 3 kilometers notice that it normally gives you?
I believe it is 5 and then 2 and then here you go.
So you could figure you're about 3 miles out when you see that sign.
If you're 5, you're about 3 miles out.
Yeah. For me, the important thing is restrooms. I mean, I know where every bathroom is from
true.
Spokane, Washington to Alaska.
And then we're talking about gallons to liters. So 1 gallon equals 3.78 liters. And, you're going to need a calculator for that. And rounding up to 2 when you're figuring fuel is probably not the best thing to do. You might want to just stick with
rounding up to 4?
I'm sorry, rounding up to 4. Yeah. 1 gallon does not equal 4 liters.
It's pretty close.
It's pretty close. I mean, you can do rough math with that, but you want to get the calculator out to figure out your exact kilometer to mile an hour. So you can also figure out your fuel consumption and mileage.
Now, a lot of times too, you have to go in and prepay.
Yes.
Or put a hold on so many gallons. So having that conversion maybe on your dash, somewhere that you can access it really quick, just so you know when you go in, you don't want to tell them I want 50 gallons. You're going to need to tell them in liters.
I want 200 liters or however it's going to be 130 some liters in that situation. But and also, have a conversion on your dash, for 10, 20, 30, 50 gallons and such. So quickly, because when you have to go into a card lock system, quite often those card locks will do it by the gallons, like Stacey was saying. So you got to put in, or by the liter, I'm sorry. They'll do it by the liter. So I want X amount of liters and you'll know what you need to do.
Yeah, don't put 50.
Yeah, don't put 50. You won't get much. 50 liters is not a whole lot of fuel. So, just know the differences in the metric system. It is an easier system to use than our imperial system once you know it and get it down. But, being from the U.S., we're very accustomed to our own imperial system and it works for us. Just know that when we go into other international countries, they prefer metric. And calculators come in very handy for that. I mean, that's just the easiest way to do it.
Also, if your vehicle will change its speedometer or speedometer, right?
It'll change. Well, our truck will change both speedometer and odometer. So it'll read, kilometers per hour and also distance traveled on the
because it's digital.
Yeah, on the trip meters.
Just know 100K is not 100 miles per hour.
No. You
might get a
that's about ticket. 60. 100 kilometers, I believe, is about 60. I think some of the faster speeds, we've seen 110 or is it 120 we saw on some of the expressways up there.
Yeah, I think that was more in Alberta, headed up on the
big open areas. I think it was 120, which is like 75 miles an hour.
It's like, woo!
Like, we're going 120. Wow,
we're going fast, and it's appropriate at that point.
It is, yeah.
And when you get up north, you're going to be going very slow, and even with a posted speed limit of around 90, you're going to be going.
That's about 45, 50, about 50.
But in kilometers, you're going to be still. When you see 90, you're not going to be going 90 kilometers. You'll maybe going 70 or even 60.
It's more like 55,
which is
60.
really like 35 miles an hour. So
anyway,
you're gonna slow.
Yeah, and just be aware of that difference. Not a huge deal.
Another thing I wanted to touch base on is medical services. say you have a medical emergency when you are in Canada, is your insurance insurance policy going to cover you? And
it
may or may not. That's something you really maybe want to have a handle on before you leave.
Yep.
There are travel insurance. What am I trying to say? Travel. Did our camera just?
No, the camera's working, obviously, but we're seeing.
Anyways, we dropped. That was weird.
There are companies.
We just shrunk.
There are companies that offer insurance and medical insurance for the travelers.
Yeah, and so we've had that discussion in the past with the group, and I just wanted to give you a couple of travel insurance companies that you may want to look into. One of which is geobluetravelinsurance.com. And this is an insurance policy that's written through Blue Cross, Blue Shield, which
pretty reputable.
That will get coverage here in Alaska, as well as they'll cover you in Canada. A member had said that they could purchase their policy as soon as one day before crossing into Canada.
Oh, wow.
One business.
So there's no qualification for it. It's just, you got to pay for it and you get it.
So, yeah. And she found out that for 2 adults, it was just under $300 for their annual policy that will cover them for a whole year. And that seemed to be cheaper or less expensive than the policy. And it did cover flight evacuation service. So
that's a big deal.
If you need to be medevac.
That's a very big deal.
Boy, sorry, that's disturbing. I purposely set the camera today
at a different angle, and now you're so short.
The camera went off, the screen went off, and that's when it changed. Anyway,
did it drop?
I can't control it.
Yeah, anyway. So
technical difficulties, something to learn.
We don't have a cameraman in front of us to adjust the camera.
Nope.
Nope.
Let's see what else here. No, if you do not have coverage that will cover you in Canada, I just want you to be aware that when you go into a hospital or urgent care, they are going to expect that you pay up front for services before services are rendered.
And generally, those services are all posted. They have a set amount for what the services should cost and will cost. So they kind of know what they're going to charge you. You go in for a broken leg, it's going to kind of cost this much.
Somewhere, and I guess it's not in here. When you're traveling, there is a newspaper that you're going to see once you get into Canada, and it's in the Yukon and in Alaska. It's called Travel Yukon, Travel Alaska. I'll put a link, but it's a wonderful newspaper, tons of information, and they will list how much it costs for an x-ray or just a doctor's visit. And it's not cheap.
It's not cheap.
So make sure you have insurance if your policy doesn't cover you, just in case.
And I believe there's also a situation with priority of care when it comes to out of country visitors versus residents.
I would say yes, but in an emergency, I mean,
an emergency is an emergency, correct?
Yes. I mean, you're not going to just go just because it's time for your annual checkup. Another thing to think about is roadside service for your vehicle, for your RV. This was a great conversation we just had recently on the group page, and we learned some things. One, what we have read from most people is FMCA is one of the better ones that will cover you while you're up here, because one, they will cover you on remote roads such as the Dalton or top of the world highway. You may be waiting several days for that tow truck to come and get you, but they will help cover it.
That's great.
Some others will just flat out deny you and say, nope, you're on a road we do not
outside of our range.
We've also heard good things about CoachNet. We've heard some interesting stories about AAA. Limited coverage. They've downgraded their RV Plus plan, and there's limited mileage limits for tows, and I believe they will only cover max anything $600 for services.
That's hardly anything. That's nothing.
Yeah, which if you're in a pickle, I mean,
$600 is not a huge coverage.
no, we've heard of as high. Some tows could be as high as like $10,000 up on the Dalton.
Yeah, if you're
not
stuck up
prepared.
there. Mm-hmm.
So make sure. And Madison just helped me out here. Yukon RV and Alaska RV.
Yep.
Thank you, Madison.
That's what it is. And then we've got our all well-known Good Sam, and they come in with a fairly horrible rating.
So Good Sam used to be owned by Camping World, but they are no longer affiliated. And we are finding that a lot of people are getting dropped even after one or maybe two uses. You know, insurance companies, I'm going to say it, they're in it for the money. And if you use it, you're going to probably lose it.
Unfortunately.
So that's just what some of the conversation we've had. Those are some companies you can look into. But if you don't have roadside assistance that covers you in Canada, I would highly look at FMCA or CoachNet.
I know we used CoachNet, I believe, when we had our issue with the slide. And it was very easy, very almost seamless service. It worked out well.
It is, but sometimes you have to be patient. You have to be lenient, especially up here. You've really got to pack your patience. You may also have to pay for the services and then ask to be reimbursed.
Submit your claim for reimbursement.
So just FYI. Moving on down the road, we're going to talk a little bit about the Alcan and Cassiar. I know we already spoke about this earlier with routes, but I just wanted to touch base on it again, just about Canada.
Right.
And one about the road conditions. The Alcan is beautiful. It's very wide.
The shoulders are manicured to, 50 yards wide or something like that.
We should say the shoulders are manicured, but it's not like you can really pull over everywhere.
No, not at all.
It's just wide open, usually cut, so you can see the wildlife if they're standing in the brush.
Yep.
Versus the Cassiar, not so much. The tree line comes to the road.
And in more situations around the Cassiar, correct. We've got a friend who's a trucker, and he did he's done Alcan and Cassiar several different times, and he prefers, and even in his big truck, prefers taking the Cassiar because it is a straighter route. From what he was telling me.
Well, especially if you want to stay on the West Coast, it makes sense.
Yep, and it's not as curvy. The Alcan seems to have some pretty windy spots, but it's
got to find a good way through the Rocky Mountains.
Really through the mountains. But he found the Cassiar is more of a straight line run.
And believe it or not, if I recall, I did this on another post. The Cassiar is the lower elevation route.
It is.
Now it's not by much. I mean, it's like 100 feet difference, maybe less. But it is the less elevation. You're steep grades on both, really. But they're very doable. They're not scary. They're not on a cliffside, anything like that.
The Alcan does have a lot more traffic in general.
Yes.
It is a heavier used
The big rigs, the big trucks.
Most of them do use the Alcan.
Yep. Cellular coverage. The Cassiar gets a bad rap because there's really not much coverage from Kittawanga up to Watson Lake, except for Stewart in the middle.
There's
Dease Lake
has Wi-Fi.
But
Jade City has Wi-Fi.
There's also a very big stretch on the Alcan between Fort Nelson and Watson Lake. So a lot of people say, "Oh, there's no cell coverage on the Cassiar." Well, it's almost
about
equal.
the same mileage.
It's a little less on the Alcan, but it's still you're in big mountains with no cellular. Now, I'll say Starlink. That is a new up and coming game changer. And if you have Starlink on your RV, you're not going to have any problems as long as you can see the sky.
This episode is brought to you by Starlink.
By the way, yes. And we are in the middle of a windy event today. They're calling it blizzard. I guess in Wasilla, they were having 50 to 70 mile an hour winds.
It's blizzard because of snow already on the ground being blown around, not because of new snowfall.
And we did lose power today, so hopefully we get through this whole hour without it going down again.
Yep.
What else between the Alcan? Distances between fuel stops. Very doable.
Yes.
Just pay attention to where your tank is. We always try to say, don't let it get below a half a tank.
And know how far you can get on a tank. Remember, I mean, if you're in a new RV or if you have a new camper and you're towing it for the first couple of times, really pay attention to your mileage before you get into Canada and start these longer routes. So you know how far you can go on a tank.
I think by the time that you get to Kittawanga and by the time you get to Fort Nelson, depending on what road you're on, you are going to know your fuel consumption at that point. And that's where you want to make sure that you are topped off, because once you leave Fort Nelson, there are fuel stops, but they are very expensive. So this is going to be in like Toad River, through Muncho Lake. And once you get back into Watson Lake, that's where fuel gets economical again.
More reasonably priced.
On the Cassiar, there is fuel available at Meziadin and Dease Lake.
Well, now, would you say, I'm backing up down south, is Smithers
Smithers
your first
is
reasonable town?
With us in the motorhome, we always fuel in Smithers, and we've done it enough that we know we can come in on fumes into Watson Lake.
Yep.
Now, if you haven't done it before and you aren't sure, stop at Meziadin or Dease Lake and fill up just to make sure.
Or just give yourself some cushion. Maybe not fill up. Just give yourself cushion. Put in, 30 gallons.
Well,
or something like that.
we need a full tank to get from Smithers
Oh, yeah.
to Watson Lake. Also, just so you know, at the junction of the Alcan and the Cassiar,
It looks to be closed now.
but I think the gas pumps are still there. So do not fuel up there. Backtrack 13 miles back to Fort.
It's called
to
Junction
Watson
37
Lake.
fuel, I think. Was it Junction 37? Or
don't-
Junction Fuel or
Something like that. But there's a roadhouse that is now closed, but it's on the corner of the highway. Don't fuel there. Go into Watson Lake,
Right.
get your fuel, and
Watson
then
Lake is
head
only-
on back up the road.
Watson Lake would only be 13 miles off if you're taking the Cassiar and you junction the Alcan. 13 miles back to Watson Lake. Get some supplies, get some fuel, go see the signpost forest, and then continue on.
Yep, absolutely. And then last other little thing I wanted to touch about between the two routes. If you are an early traveler or late traveler, we're talking if you are in northern Canada or in the province of British Columbia or the Yukon. There's a tire requirement for winter tires, mud and snow, or you must have chains. And this is from October 1st through April 30th. So there may be no snow on the ground, but you may be stopped. They may be having a check. So just know if you're going to be in the northern tier of Canada, make sure that your snow tires are either compliant or you have chains or snow socks or something like that that meets their requirement.
And I know very few of you will be within that window.
Very few.
There are always a couple.
It's the work campers and the people that
Yep.
just haven't listened to us to say, slow your roll, don't come up until the end of May.
And that I'm aware of, we haven't heard of anybody who has had an issue with that on our pages. It doesn't come to my mind.
I think one time I heard someone, they were stopped and they had to wait until the Mounties said they could go because the chain requirement was...
it had snowed a bit and then maybe the snow melted and it was good to go.
It was in western BC, up in those mountains, the coastal range. So, I mean...
It doesn't happen very often, but it sure can.
No, I mean, if you watch some of those ice road truckers, or there's a show that we've watched before that deals with tow trucks.
Yep.
And a lot of them there are in Western BC, and
Yeah.
they get some really bad snow belt weather.
Right. Well, it's that coastal weather, the warmer temperatures and the snow when it's snowing at 30, 34 degrees. It's super wet and sticky.
Speaking of that, did you guys hear about what Thompson Pass out of Valdez did last week?
Oh my!
November 8th, we set almost set the highest amount of snowfall in a 24-hour period
in the world.
In the United
States. That's right. United States.
75.6 inches. They were shy by 2 inches of the record.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So.
Oh, geez. Oh. So,
anyway, sorry. That just sidetracked. We got a lot of snow last.
Snow in 24 hours. That's amazing.
Crazy.
Folks. Wow.
And Junction 37 is
where Junction 37 to fuel stop
for the fuel.
Yep.
All right, so moving on down the road again.
Here we go.
Now we're going to talk about parks, provincial and territorial government campgrounds, and these guys are beauties. You know, I have to say there's some great state park systems. Alaska, love our state
Very
parks.
Nice.
Oregon state parks are amazing.
California is not so much. Sorry, just saying. That was an airplane. That's an airplane, not wind.
Was that an airplane?
Yes.
I don't know. That was loud. Let's see what else. I love Alabama. But anyways, getting off track. Canada, back to Canada.
Yep.
Their provincial parks are amazing. And there are some gems that you can come across as you are coming up to Alaska or going back down. Some of them that I mentioned, that I wrote down that I love, of course, Laird Hot Springs.
By far, one of the better ones.
And that one you can book online.
Airplanes, babe.
That is
when we get the big boys are flying around the pie. Come on now.
Okay, sorry.
Back on track.
Laird
Back on track.
Hot Springs.
Come on.
Boya.
Yes.
Which
Boya.
is off of the Cassiar. Meziadin, which is also on the Cassiar.
Beautiful lake right down there.
Both. Boya's absolutely.
Boya's amazing, beautiful.
It's blue water, just gorgeous.
Meziadin's just a lake in the Alpine mountains.
Yeah.
It's really,
Muncho Lake has some really neat campgrounds.
We've never stopped at Muncho because we always want to go to Liard.
Yeah, it's too close to Liard. Also, provincial parks in the Yukon government parks, they're pretty economical. They're usually around $20. Some, like Laird, is going to be a little bit more.
Well, there's an attraction there.
There's an attraction.
There's a reason.
But, the other thing, though, is you'll want to have cash for these. Some you can book online, like Meziadin and Laird, but if not, bring cash, because if not, you're going to be charged at par.
Right.
And at par is where, say it says it's I'm going to stick with what it is. $20 Canadian. That doesn't mean that you can you can throw a $20 US bill.
Right.
But you're not going to get change back.
But if you figure the exchange and you put that much American cash in there, they're going to figure you shorted them because it's at par.
No, they're actually getting more. They're getting a donation.
That's true.
So that happened to us. Not very many parks is there a place where you can get your change back.
Right.
But we went to Laird not knowing, and they have an actual gatehouse with a person that collects all the fees. And it was, I believe, $28 to stay. And we were staying 2 days. And so I think I had $60 American. And she had no way to make the change. So they got a good donation.
Being where they are, they don't have a way to accept credit cards, so it's cash only.
They might now with Starlink, that might change, but just know that's another reason to have cash on hand for those provincial parks and government territorial campgrounds. It's well worth it, and they are nice stops. Usually, like the Yukon campgrounds, they provide free firewood.
You may have to chop it yourself, so bring a splitter.
Yep. Or a little chainsaw. Something, because a hatchet.
Hatchet's not going to split a log that's, that big around.
Yeah, our first year, we only had a hatchet. We learned really quick that we needed something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And then, someone's asking, so $20 Canadian is closer to 16.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Linda is saying, do we pay U.S. cash or Canadian? When you're in Canada, you'll want to pay Canadian.
Yep.
So that's why it's important to always pick up some money. I will say usually when we cross into Canada, we pull out $300 Canadian. And all our little incidentals, like say you stop at a gas station and get
coffee
a coffee,
shop, whatever it is.
Some little things are just easier to pay cash. And so usually by the time we get to Watson Lake, I need to get more. And so then I'll pull usually another 300 by the time we're in Watson. That will get us into Alaska. And we should have enough for when we come back on the return on the exit to be able to camp at provincial parks when we're working our way back south before we get to Whitehorse. Because there's some beautiful parks up there as well. And if you don't have that Canadian cash, you're going to lose because you're going to have to put American.
Yep. You lose that 30%.
Yep. So thing to think about. Let's see. So I think I hit, provincial parks, think rustic. There's usually no power at sites. There's usually not water available. If it is, it's a hand pump.
And they will put signs up there saying it's non-potable water. So it's water you should not necessarily put into your tank. They don't test it.
I think that's the thing. They don't test it. Yeah. So then you're supposed to boil it.
Supposed to boil it if you want to consume it.
And don't expect many dump stations at these parks. They're very few, far and in between. You're going to find those more in city parks or private businesses.
And now with the water, the non-potable water that's provided at some of these parks, if you have your own filtering system, then by all means, filter it into your tank if you feel necessary.
If you feel
that your filters are adequate to make your water
There's
the water
some
safe.
filters I wouldn't want to trust.
No. Get your 3-pack set up and you're good to go.
All right. Highlights not to miss while in Canada.
I think we've mentioned a lot of them already.
We have, but I do want to say, be sure to stop and visit the visitor centers. They are fabulous. They're a wealth of information. Some of them off the top of my head, and on my cheat sheet. Dawson Creek, that's at mile 0. That's a must stop anyways. So while you're taking your picture at the big welcome to the Alaska Highway sign, go inside the grain site, the grain mill, the big red building. They have a wonderful visitor center there. Then right up the road in Taylor, if you go there, you're going to meet one of our moderators.
That's Amanda.
And she is a wealth of information, and she may even have a little goodie for you.
And she loves to have visitors.
She loves to have her visitors.
Time with the visitors.
And then Watson Lake has a great visitor center. That, again, is conveniently located right at the
signpost forest.
Thank you. And also across the street, there is a wonderful Northern Lights museum that's a theater, so you can kind of see what the Northern Lights
are all about. Like. Yeah.
And Whitehorse, their visitor center is right downtown near the national park where the steamboat paddle boat is.
That whole area that in Whitehorse right down by the river is really a nice place to spend an afternoon experiencing all that stuff. They have some great exhibits on the steamboat and a lot of history going on there in Whitehorse as well.
Madison's adding here, he's saying back to the provincial parks, most of the government campgrounds in BC have someone to come by and collect your fee. In Yukon, they usually have an honor pay. And Linda, you asked, what town was that? So if you could please specify if you're asking about the visitor center, I'll clarify that.
Alrighty.
So visitor centers, very, very.
And they will have all sorts of brochures about their local area of what you can do in a local area, what to expect, as well as maps of the highway that will be in front of you for
You're going to come
miles
home
and
with
miles.
a big file full of all the books and everything.
She keeps it all. My gosh.
The first town you mentioned.
We've mentioned a lot of towns. It's hard to recall.
If you're talking about visitor center, Dawson Creek at mile 0. Then next up the highway is Taylor. Then Watson Lake and Whitehorse are the visitor centers in Canada that we suggest stopping.
There wasn't a visitor center in Fort St. John. There's just the campground.
No, the Fort St. John is more of a working town.
Yeah.
That's for all the
where
oil
am I
workers.
thinking of where we stopped and met anyway.
I don't know.
Yep, no problem.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Laird Hot
Springs. You know, that is a great place. If you do happen to stop in Muncho Lake for a campground overnight, Laird Hot Springs is 30 miles up the road. Stop there for a soak.
A day soak,
and then continue on up the road. Or skip Muncho Lake and stay overnight at Layard, however it may be.
If you do a day soak, you just pay the day fee, which is cheaper to get in, and just the soak is worth it. Trust me. You can park outside across the highway, so it's easy on-off access, and then you can continue down the road. So if you can't get in overnight, don't worry too much about it. I know for us, when we stay, usually we only soak once.
We've soaked twice a couple of times.
Well, we did stay one time for 2 nights, so we went back the next day. But one day is truly enough if you like hot springs. So, other highlights. We said the signpost forest.
And we do have a sign in the signpost forest. It's our old travel name, Powhana Travels.
Yeah.
We put it up there in 2017. I probably could walk to it right now, but I couldn't describe where it is.
I know I've put our GPS coordinates on a video.
Yeah.
On the video when we visited. And it would be neat if we could see some folks visit it and maybe take a picture with it.
And now I know it's also expanded quite a bit since we've been there.
There's so many signs.
6 years ago.
So many signs.
So, it's
pretty
in there.
cool.
And it takes a while to go through to see it all. I mean, it's huge.
Give it some time, and it's amazing to see everyone's messages. Also, think about that and make your sign prior to leaving so you can leave your own sign.
Right.
Other things I do have is, top of the world highway. We're going to get into that more later in the new year when we talk about those different routes, those roads.
Right.
And also the Dempster. If you want to go up to Northwest Territories and go to Tuktoyaktuk.
Tuktoyaktuk.
I said it right.
I think you might have said it right.
I normally just say Tuck.
Well, maybe we've got to have Madison check you on that.
Yeah.
And actually, Madison has a huge wealth of knowledge on Tuck. He's been there once, maybe twice, and he loves that route. So Madison can probably chime in with some information on that down the road. Or if you have any questions, you can maybe, I'm not going to put him on the spot, but maybe you can message him.
Madison does have a Facebook page called Alcan Pruitt.
Oh, wow.
I believe. Yep. And that's where he talks about all of his trips all over Alaska and especially
and Canada.
He's done Canada very well. So
yes.
All right.
National parks.
National parks. Those are definitely, you don't want to miss those. And the biggies are Banff, Jasper, and within Banff, between Banff and Jasper is Icefields Parkway. I feel it is a definite must if you're hitting those areas. Just north of the town of Jasper, there is another hot springs if you're a hot springs lover. So like down,
where are you going?
Well, down in, there's another national park, Kootenai National Park. That's like where Radium Hot Springs.
Radium and Fairmont.
Fairmont Hot Springs. And then when you get into Jasper, there's the Mieti Hot Springs. So if you're hot springs junkies like I am. I love to soak. Those are important stops.
Yes, they
worth
are.
to see. Just know that the Canadian National Parks, especially Banff and Jasper, are super congested, super heavily traveled. And you just, again, you've got to pack your patience. You're also, for the big campgrounds in Jasper and Banff, you're going to need to book in advance. And I believe those reservations usually go open in February or March. We'll keep you posted on the Facebook page as to when those go live for bookings.
The traffic does significantly increase around those parks too, all summer long.
Yep.
So no matter what time, no matter what time it is in the summertime, it's going to be busy around those parks.
There is a national park pass that you can buy in advance that can get your tolls paid to enter those national parks. If not, you're going to have to pay a day fee. For example, in 2017, we had the Parks Pass for Canada, which covered our, when we stayed at Pocahontas campground, we would have had to pay an extra fee per person, but because we had those park passes, that was waived. There's also a toll on the Icefields Parkway.
Is that 97 or 97A?
No.
97.
Neither.
73.
I can't remember the number.
Oh yeah, I can't remember the highway number.
But it's there's a toll.
Yes.
So just so you know, you will have to pay. It's on the Jasper side. So if you're going north, you're not going to hit the toll booth until you're exiting the Icefields Parkway. Madison did mention too that you can park overnight at the Icefields Visitor Center.
It's worth a night.
It is
very much so.
Not level, but it's fairly inexpensive. I think it's around $15, maybe $20 now.
Yep.
And there's lots to see and do.
Quite a few things there to do.
That's at the Athabasca Glacier, and it's well worth a stop.
They have these amazing snow buses that travel on glaciers. It's really cool.
Pretty cool. And they have a skywalk similar to our one down in the Grand Canyon, where it goes out and over a canyon, and just it's well worth it.
Glass floor, looking thousands of feet down. Oh my gosh.
Okay, 5:53. So we're doing good. Last points I have here is about Northern Lights information when you're in Canada. Just so you know, when you're going north, around May 20th, May 25th is about the last, if you're Dawson Creek or higher, that the night sky has disappeared. So if you want to see Northern Lights, look up in the sky at night before May 20th. And then you're first available in Canada as you're coming down, I would say, is sometime in August.
Well, more towards the end of August, mid to end of August.
No, not in Canada.
They're
Canada.
Further not south, in Canada.
So they get their night sky back. And, when you're in southern Canada, they get night every night. Yep. So it's not a big deal. It's more those northern latitudes.
Yukon and Alaska, where you will be later in the summer, later in August, before you see the Northern Lights. Here
in the Anchorage area, May 1st, and we do not have...
You associated us with Anchorage.
Well, I'm just...
a general area, yes.
South Central Alaska. May 1st, we no longer have night sky. So it's too light out, and we cannot see the Northern Lights again until around August. Well, for the last several years, August 17th has been the first night that we've been able to have dark enough skies to see the lights.
And that's because we saw the lights in those days.
Yep. And again, a great museum in Watson Lake to learn more about the aurora and possibly see kind of what it looks like and get familiar with it. What you see in pictures is not what it looks like in real from your eyeballs.
Right.
With your eyes, it looks more like clouds, but clouds that are doing psychedelic things.
And if you really are interested in learning a lot more about aurora photography, when you stop into Talkeetna, Alaska,
Aurora
Dora has an amazing studio with some of the most magnificent photographs you've ever seen. And she also does some photo excursions.
she'll teach you how, I believe that's something you would have to reach out to her with.
But she's willing to help you.
Great studio.
Yes.
We go in every time when we bring friends and family up.
We
there.
dream of photos that she has.
So I think we've covered everything on our list to just kind of go everything about Canada, deep dive, what you should think about before you go north. Of course, coming up in our next live chats, December 4th is our next chat with you. That's in 2 weeks from tonight. And we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to deep dive into Alaska as a statewide whole. So welcome to Alaska on December 4th. And then on December 18th, right before the holidays, we're going to talk about staying connected on the road and our favorite apps that we like to use while we are RVing, specifically up here to Alaska. And then in the new year, we're going to shift our focus and we are going to talk about each general area of Alaska. So
you can break it down a little bit further into those regions
or
the highway corridors.
We're going to just really talk about the things we like, what you want to go see and do, who to visit, tour companies, etc., like that. So January 8th, again, we're going to delay 1 week because of New Year's holiday. Right. January 8th, we're going to talk about the interior Alaska. So that's like Fairbanks, Tok as you enter in, Glen Allen. And then on January 22nd, we're going to go up and down the parks highway corridors.
Oh, nice.
That's going to be
Fairbanks
Denali,
down to Anchorage.
Yeah, basically.
Well, Fairbanks down to
Talkeetna.
Talkeetna.
And
there you go.
Then we're going to, in February, hit the Matsu and Anchorage, and then we're going to work our way to the Kenai. So it should round us out great through our lives are going to take us through April.
Perfect.
So other than that, one other quick shout out. Northern Lights coupon books. Guys, if you want to save money,
there you go.
The Northern Lights coupon books. No, this isn't last year's, but the new book is out. They came out this week. Ooh. And we have a discount code RV2AK, get you free shipping. So a lot of these coupons will pay for the book itself in 1 or 2 uses.
Yeah,
the one thing I like
really nice
about the Northern Lights coupon book versus the Tour Saver, this has everyday coupon savings as well.
This is something that we would use on almost a daily or weekly basis. There's so much stuff,
oil change, car cleaning, restaurants in here, coffee huts, as well as some excursions. So it truly, when you're up here for 3 months, you're kind of living like a local. So this is a great book because it can give you some great discounts. So just so you know, their website is northernlightscouponbook.com, I believe. But if I'm wrong, you can just go to our website, rvingtoalaska.com.
We know that
/discounts and just go find their link. I have it there, and as well as our coupon code. So I think that's it. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up
yes, please do.
Button on YouTube to let YouTube know that you enjoyed what we gave you tonight. And like I said, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and join us over on Facebook at our RVing to Alaska, the original group page. Pardon me.
An hour talking.
And yeah,
that'll do it.
We're a minute shy of.
Oh my God. Well, did we cover all the questions? Did we hit all the questions?
We covered the questions as they were coming through.
Okay, good. Not a whole bunch this time. Last week or last video, we had quite a few more questions. So come on, guys, step up the game a little bit.
No, it's okay. It's great participation.
So tonight we gave you a really good general guide of traveling through Canada on your way to Alaska. Now, if you guys do want to take part in our counseling sessions, we can do a much deeper dive into your route planning and really focus on almost every stop or major stop you want to. And then we have a sale coming up on our counseling sessions for Cyber Monday, right?
Cyber Monday.
So
check us out on our Facebook group.
We'd love to help you out even further.
Yep, we've had our first couple sessions and they have gone great.
Yep.
And I'm just really excited to see all you start traveling again come the spring. So
right. And now with the holidays coming up, I know the travel thing will be maybe put back to the back of the head a little bit, and you're going to be thinking about Thanksgiving and Christmas and family times and all that stuff. So I really want to thank you and for everything that you've done for us and being here on our pages and everything. And I also want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Yes, happy
Enjoy your family and enjoy that turkey.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.